Welcome back, everybody. We're here for game number 2 of the Afreeca versus Kingzone series. Aiming able to pick up that MVP. Had quite the game on the Ezreal. Definitely one for the books for him.
And if you're going to frontline Ezreal, why not build a lot of lifesteal and make this fan feel real good? Red in the face on the picture, but no embarrassment. When we move over to Aiming's cam, he had a great game. His dad is amazing. Holy moly, the sign with the GG Easy overlay on top. That is pimp. Wow, that was a pimp.
Had there too.
That was a pimp alpaca. If you're coming onto the VOD and don't have the context, go back a couple of seconds. That was sick. As Afreeca Freecs versus Kingzone, game number 2 about to get underway. Did really feel like Kingzone just didn't show up for their part of it. They were a little bit out of it, especially at the opening moments, and made quite a few unforced errors. We'll see if Afreeca Freecs can show a similar level of performance if Kingzone can rise to meet them. Otherwise, that 3-game streak might be over for Kingzone with a 2-0 loss, Valdez.
Curious to see what will happen here in the pick ban after game number 1. Game number 1 was kind of, I'd say, there were a couple of picks there that were a little bit weird. The Rise and the Victor specifically. But, we'll see if anything else in terms of weird picks do come in here. For patch 9.14, we were mentioning these two teams could be two of the most likely to have those coming in.
Well, one weird pick is already accounted for, in that the Rise, that is a sometimes food for some top laners, has been banned. A lot open. Karma Priority's been up and down this season, but look at this, and I want to draw your attention to something. I've talked about how I feel like Ezreal is pretty close to the ban list. Notice what it's over, Valdez. It's over Corki. Corki actually open in a 2-way flex for some teams. Ezreal just straight up first pick to give Aiming that ultra comfort. While that might lead to a game victory, it is pretty transparent about where Aiming's champion pool is at the moment.
Well, you mentioned the Corki. Maybe Kingzone will pick that up, but a very highly prioritized Kai'Sa pick will be coming in here. Kind of interesting to see it picked this early on in the draft.
See what they want to combo it with, because I feel like the only reason to take it this early is to allow yourselves a more reliable counter pick at Naehyun's pick, if you're not going to match 80 carry in the second round of picks in this first side of the draft. Waiting to see, they're taking a long time. It seems like they'll just go for jungle as a role they're willing to blind pick. Small chance that TusiN will be jumping on the support Gragas, something he's played in the past, but that is their duo of picks here. What is Afreeca going to want to do? They're going to have to show something about the way their draft is setting up for a support pick. We weren't huge fans of the Alistar, but does fit as a safe pick next to Ezreal, as they do find that safe pick, Valdez. Going to be the Corki here. I'm going to see what they're going to do in the first round. Jungle for Dread an option, but he has a pretty eclectic pull, and sometimes he can roll out the crazy. Would Ucal actually steal out? Nope, he's just about the mind games. Flashes Victor, won't deal with it, and I feel like we're getting a little bit more insight into this Tahm Kench first round. Seems like Korean teams are being so specific about counterpicking where possible that even though Tahm Kench is so heavily nerfed, they don't want to show any solo lanes, and thus Tahm Kench comes out.
Kingzone are angry. Going to be coming in with the Yasuo Gragas that Naehyun is kind of giving us a little head nod towards. I'm worried for, the opponent's composition, though. Already, Corki, Ezreal, Tahm Kench is looking mighty fine, I have to say, on the side of Afreeca.
And the battle lines have already been drawn in a big way. It's team fight versus siege. It's very hard for that to change. After the 6 picks that have already been locked in, Ezreal and Corki severely outrange anyone on the side of Kingzone, but the Wombo engage can't be denied. So, hopefully this means a fiery game number 2 on both cylinders. Seeing the Dread Elise ban, been one of his frequent picks both in pro play and in solo queue, definitely a famous pick for him. His most famous outside of pro play around his career is the Kindred, and we're always kind of holding our breath that we'll finally see it. It will be ultra risky against Gragas Yasuo, but you can always hope, Valdez.
We've done a lot of hoping here. We had Zed and Blitzcrank yesterday. Thank you, TusiN, for pleasing us with that one. It didn't get a win, nor was it very effective, but always some fun picks now and then here on the broadcast of LCK.
Seeing some support hovers. We can't be too far away from things like the Blitz. We had a game yesterday. We'll forget that one, but don't think it's going to be this game. Be a surprise.
Ooh.
The Pyke, though, is one that we alluded to yesterday. With the Pyke bus, we were saying if anyone's going to be playing it, it's going to be TusiN. He loves Predator Pyke support. Does fit the team comp they have, where they're trying to force fights wherever possible. Afreeca got to pick both their lanes. As the Corki probably going mid, so that's going to be both solo lanes picked before Kingzone locks in anything. Jungle Pool is always going to be more specific from Dread's perspective. Where are we going? Where are we going? Combat advantage going to be necessary, I think, to get this going from Afreeca perspective. It's going to be the Xin Zhao rolled out for Afreeca Freecs.
We saw this have a lot of success yesterday, actually, on Fleek, bringing it out and having a fantastic early game, able to get 3 kills quick, get his top lane fed as well. And no surprise that for an aggressive jungler like Dread, he would be willing to pop it out once again, as Camille was actually left available and will be that final pick for Kingzone.
Always bold on paper to select this Camille into Renekton, and after that first sample of Nuguri winning the matchup Klepto, first the Summit press the attack Renekton. It has been going the way of Renekton like we would assume. Kingzone, it is bold, because if you look at their lanes, you'd say there's potentially 3 winning lanes here for Afreeca, but so much mid-game team fighting advantage for Kingzone. And I would also point out that while there was severe outrange and siege from Afreeca's first 2 picks, I think they probably need a strong Renekton in the side lane as the game goes on, because Xin Zhao Renekton do not commit any extra resources into siege from Afreeca perspective. So while Kingzone has one identity, Afreeca have been forced to generalize the profile of their comp a little bit, and sometimes you generalize and lose your core identity. That's not something Afreeca Freecs can afford to do.
Yeah, so Afreeca, I feel like I am extremely happy with this draft. You know, you got the Corki for the magic damage, a lot of early game with Renekton, Xin Zhao, but also late game with that poking and scaling 2-man machine of Corki and Ezreal that we have seen before. Tom Kent to help keep everybody alive. And I feel like this is a nice draft to potentially carry them over to what could be a surprising 2-0 victory. They will have to play it out first, though.
It can do a lot of things, but again, I'm always worried when not all of it's on the same page. And it's very clear Kingzone know what they're doing. Now, if Kingzone fall behind, it'll be so tricky for them to catch up. But their team fighting is so scary. Cuzz is the man to watch. He can be so flawless on the Gragas, and if all action starts with a Gragas, it probably ends with a Kingzone victory.
Yeah, so we're just about ready to hop into game number 2 here, guys. We'll see if the Yasuo Gragas will pay off for the side of Kingzone, who are looking to reclaim glory here in game number 2. As some more interesting picks overall in this one. We have a little bit of a pause to start off this game, though.
Anything less than a 3-game series would be a surprise, Valdez. Kingzone have been consistent in that regard. 3-game after 3-game series. Sounds like there's some small issues being sorted. Before we get into that game, if there's any more updates, we will pass them to you. The first pick, Kai'Sa, on the red side, is something that's going to try to back up the Camille after laning phase, but during laning phase, Gragas is going to be pulled in a lot of different directions. How can Rascal do? Because there's a real potential he just gets run over by the Renekton. Looking around the audience here for some signs. We've already seen some bangers. That's TusiN Braum on the left side there. Is that Deft Lux? Couldn't really tell. There is definitely some talk of Lux carry from the bot lane in the AD carry role, or the bot lane carry role, as we should expect. Like in the color of that yellow keyboard there. Very mustard yellow on the keyboard. Wouldn't you agree, Valdez? You missed the spot. It was right on the corner of the vision. Yeah. Meanwhile, Dread has got the most LED light keyboard of all of them. What would you
I
describe
like
as
the
that
faces.
facial expression for Kiin?
He's looking, I like the little heart on the cheek there. Looks like he's wearing a little bit too much makeup, but that's okay.
I feel like there's an anime word to describe that perspective, but I don't know anime, so I don't have the word. I don't know how to comment on that. But he's got an anime face going on, that's for sure. Here is the man Kiin, the veteran of the roster. As there's Jinx. We did not get the Deft Jinx in game number 2.
It's a very scary Jinx. That's a little bit of a Monka-esque portrait there, but we all know she's a bit crazy.
On the right side?
Is that like a Vel'Koz or something?
I couldn't tell.
Or a Skarner?
It was very scary. It looked like a...
That was a scary moment we just had there.
What's the StarCraft unit with the big tusks, like a Mutilator or something?
Ultralisk?
Ultralisk. It looked kind of like an Ultralisk.
Yeah, a little bit, actually.
In a weird spot there. Afreeca Freecs cheerful and a Ucal sign. There is our man Ucal. Was that 17-year-old birth that got to finally play... Sorry, January birth that got to finally turn 17 in January last year, so 18 and a half. Today, still obviously very, very young. Naehyun's one of our older mid laners. Traveled the world. Everyone knows about his losing streak and origin days. Definitely on the older ebb of mid laners. I believe 4 years older than his opponent today in Ucal.
That's a cute little cat there. Maybe that's... Oh, is that a dog, actually?
I think it was a cat. Pretty sure it was a cat.
I don't know. The glasses made it a little bit confusing.
What is going on?
Someone's a wizard.
Okay.
That is for Kiin, I would believe.
It's not a wizard beard, that's for sure.
As
roll through.
the dealing machine, carry machine. That is.
Does it say
for
dealing machine?
Deft. It does, yeah, at the top. Literally in Korean, dealing machine.
Well, if you remember, I did get to retweet the great fan that put Heisenberg onto an alpaca.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've always talked about how Deft is the best dealer. I don't know how far we can go with this metaphor, sadly. Some of it is not PG-13 for the broadcast we're on. You know, we probably get away with it. No one's listening. But we'll hold our tongue for now. And just all we can do is roll around, and we might be getting a lobby remade or something like that. Haven't got the full confirmation from our observers. But all the players, you know, Afreeca Freecs seem largely in good spirits. Understandable after winning game number 1. Don't know about the hot packs, because it is quite warm, at least in the caster desk here in the corner. We are on, for full disclosure, the Kingzone Dragon X side of the arena. Korean casters on the Afreeca side.
And the hot packs are kind of interesting because it's pretty hot in the studio, but your hands will still get cold.
True.
If you're, you know, feeling
and I guess
the energy.
And of course the computers would have to be kept on the cooler side also. You don't want any overheats during games. Looking around the Kingzone fans, everyone's on their phone, debating all the greater, finer points of life, as social media is all about. Here's Cuzz, the king of social media, I've decided, just to run on my sentences. He's the king of Gragas in summer. Even score has been definitely much more Gragas agnostic than Cuzz, who does try to lock it in every time his beloved Karthus is ripped away from his hot little hands. There, we're back to it. We did it.
Oh, yeah.
It does say Dala Dala?
Something like that.
Is that supposed to be like
La 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 la.
Show me the LoL champions.
Yeah.
Well, it is still League of Legends champions career will be on the way, as that cat seems very surprised. But with a little bit of love.
I just realized why Kiin is number 71.
I've never seen an alpaca with a bazooka that looks like a shark. Now I have. Come back.
So
what was your point?
The key in Kiin, if you write it in Hangul, it actually looks like 71. Because the G/K sound is like a 7, and then the E sound is a 1. It looks like a 1, so that's kind of how it goes. But guys, we are here for game number 2. Let's start it up right now for Afreeca versus Kingzone. Going on to the Rift for game number 2. Should be more action-packed.
Whoa.
Whenever I say that, I always feel like I'm kind of debated, but we'll see in this game.
Okay, we're
What's
50
going on,
seconds in.
Papa?
I saw Senan leaving the podium at 50 seconds, and I was like, wait, did they forget poor Thomas? But I believe he just went to ward and then went back for a sweeper. That would make more sense. Brush control can be very important against Pyke. So what happened here is that they rushed out, put down a ward, and then we saw poor Thomas all alone without home guards returning. That's because if you don't have sweeper and you try to contest a second brush at any moment, Pyke can just get in there and mess you up. So sweeper for lane against Pyke is actually really important, and that's why Afreeca did send their Tom Kench back to the bench for just a moment.
So, Kiin versus Rascal up in the top side. You'll notice that Rascal took Grasp.
Oh, how respectful.
No Klepto here from this Camille. Rascal has a little bit of respect for his lane opponents, whereas some other players would not have that same respect.
Sowan and definitely Nuggery have been guilty of that so far. Does mean that he'll be able to play weak side a bit better, but obviously not a fantastic matchup by any means. Not a lot of deep vision, so Dread, who goes for a counter jungle, is going to be very, very disappointed. Blue buff and the walls taken as the first two camps means that Grog is actually going to get a full clear against the jungle matchup that early is alls in.
This is the Gromp. Going to be stolen here by Dread, who will smite that one down and look to path towards the left side of the map. Aiming, we saw him slam down that Ezreal first pick. Against the Corki that was available, they ended up getting both anyway, but looking for him to have another big game on this selection of the Ezreal. You note that is a very big confidence pick when he slams it down first pick after a MVP performance.
I think of a bit of Perks with it, because Perks, you know, someone who can play the Yasuo. We're watching the last hit. Naehyun's doing a good job out here. He knows what he's good at, he knows what he likes in the meta, and he plays to his own personal tendencies. And I think that aiming really does push up too far. When he plays a immobile AD carry, he gets caught in late game fights more than most people. Why not? Go for the Ezreal that you know you're great at, and also flex in other picks that work for you. So I don't hate it. As Dread is coming up, we've got 2v2 here.
All right, coming in as Cuzz gonna start this one off. Will pick up first blood for his team to start this one. Dread in a bit of trouble as well, trying to force that flash. Not quite gonna do it, but once again, Cuzz in good position on the Gragas.
And this is something that Cuzz was ahead of, that was information open to the side of Dread. Dread should have known that Cuzz's path was naturally gonna end topside. The full clear for safety, just like the two camps that he took for safety on the bottom side before he entered his red side jungle. Cuzz's patience is rewarded. That's a bit of a swing as bot lane.
Well, Tom Kent exists as a champion in this lane, so no action going to actually happen here. No flash or any summoners will be blown by the Afreeca bot lane.
Kind of ganks like what we saw at next level when you have no information as to the pathing of the enemy, but Cuzz, I feel like Dread should have had more information. It should have been a bit more open book, and it ends up just being open shut case for King's Zone. Kill in the Camille versus Renekton matchup. Kiin does keep up his flash through all of it, though, which is important to remember.
Yeah, gotta hand it to him that he was able to save that one, as Cuzz looking to get even more aggressive here. Just lost his red, but just looking to put down some vision, perhaps, as noticing Dread goes top side, maybe looking for the edge on the gank. No, just gonna walk away. This Gragas not looking for too much action after that beginning.
Gragas has the tougher job. If your champion can't win skirmishes against the enemy jungler, you have to be ahead in the pathing. So far, so good. From that perspective, always a pleasure to see him jump on the Gragas. This is the flow-on effect after the death. Lane phase not in a fantastic spot. Double Dorans on both the top laners, so no lane lead. Showing a lot of respect here. Doesn't even want to get in an auto-attack a minion to cue the secondary one. Does mean that even the deep freeze for Rascal going to be possible.
All right, Predator coming in here, but it is Corki, so we all know how much action that champion likes to bring to the table.
How much action would you say, Valdez?
Not very much. He's, you know, just sitting back, farming up a bit, having a grand old time waiting for maybe 2-3 items. And then he'll have some fun, but only on his terms. He's a very selfish player. That good old Corki.
Definitely the sleepy early game into the super uncounterable late game where his just sheer range with the high damage rockets at 4-5 items are so hard to deal with. Not quite Zoe levels of aggro invited by Corki, but I feel like we're on the way. On that particular one, laning phase-wise, Ezreal and Kai'Sa trading CS for CS. Our recent meta this week has been 100 AD super early, skipping Manamune for BS Sword double pickaxe for fastest possible Q evolve. As topside, speaking of Qs,
well, Camille with the hook shot is going to be just fine. Up in that top side, no problem at all. Nice try by Naehyun to deny some of that CS, but Ucal, well, he'll actually miss 2 from the play, so not half bad as actually going aggressive here onto the Yasuo, but not forcing anything here. You'll notice he did go double Doran, so looking to get some laning presence so far as Ucal.
It's to rush, as you would almost always expect from the Yasuo. Cuzz there to counter gank, just trying to cover for his top laner wherever possible. My suspicion is that Deft will shadow the build from aiming and go Manamune as well. I think the King Zone look around the globe a bit more than some of our other teams, so they do look to LPL builds, the Manamune build that we had in Korea before, and it's still popular there. I'm guessing they'll go that way, and also, you're not going to have a tier into recipe timing disadvantage when your enemy laner is also going that.
Just trying to come up here and get something started onto Senan. Is coming in with the flash, gets the knockup for Naehyun. Not even a chance for Senan to get out of that one. Just stunned from 100% health down to 0. Made it look pretty easy as Cuzz was able to make that happen on the follow-up.
And it only gets easier when the death from below continues to go straight through Grey Health and get further kills. This is pre-6, but still able to make that kill happen. TusiN dropped the Predator this time. They didn't want to go double Predator. Only the Gragas will be a Predator champion, but walks up. And the moment the stun registers, King Zone roam down, and what is aiming at level 5 Ezreal to do?
You notice there was a half a second or so there where Senan could have chose to actually flash the wall. I think he could have made it over that slightly fat wall, but instead
the ward
decided against it. That's a nice little sneaky ward by the side of King Zone as they're really having a fun early game here. They find that Corki. Nice bit of damage already. The Dread will be forced away from that one. Package there on the Corki. He'll be just fine as well.
Never smart to face check a Gragas, but not enough damage to take him down. Halfway through to the Runic Echo. Rascal returns to top side and weak side. One counter gank in a bad matchup. It is hard to reset the wave, as you can see. But same mechanic that we talked about in yesterday's gameplay. Hold on to the hook shot until you see the Renekton stun. And yes, in cases like that, you accept the fact that you lose at least a third, often a half of your health bar, just for trying to visit the lane. We told a lie, by the way, Valdez. It is going to be double pickaxe, so this seems to be the new favorite Korean build. Fastest possible Q evolve. This does condemn you to a huge 2-item trough, I guess you would call it, because Rage Blade and Infinity Edge, while both nice items, have very little synergy between each other. It's only the passive you get from the Rage Blade. On the side of the Kai'Sa, but very early Q means that you can trim waves if your support roams, and also means you can burst people if your Killer Instinct into top.
Cuzz here in position again. We got a TP though this time. Looking for the knockup on a Kiin, but he's going to survive here. Rascal though, really nice flash to get away from that one, but Dread will die to that final turret shot. In the end, the TP from aiming keeps things in favor of Afreeca up in the top side.
But the TP's only really worth it if you get the Rift Herald afterwards, and their jungler dying does end up making this pretty awkward. So it ends up just being a defensive ultimate, kind of like those defensive Shen ultimates that you always put up your face at and don't love. So a lot invested here to go 1-for-1 and get some turret plates onto Kiin.
Funds invested. You'll notice that Deft will be now slightly ahead on the CS. Let's take another look at how this happened.
Cuzz in the right spot. No way for Yasuo to join. No way for Kai'Sa to join. Her teleport on cooldown. If Dread doesn't die, I think this play is good. But Kiin has to flash. Doesn't have the option to tank an extra shot. And that ramping turret shot damage means there's no Rift Herald afterwards to really vindicate the play.
Yeah, it looked like a giant chunk of damage, but actually the Zhao a little bit, weak and squishy early on in the game, so gets punished in the end.
So we're going to try and review Deft's build, kind of like how we reviewed Kiin's build in the previous game. We said, oh wow, high damage build on this much squishier rise on the new patches. Can he position around that and play to his items? The answer was yes in that game. Oh, we've seen this build a couple of times. It's Deft, and he's someone who's always super intelligent about his build paths. If you can get a gank off with the Killer Instinct with very early 100 AD, more burst, that makes sense. If you want to have your Pyke roam and just clear out minions, more Q damage, that makes sense. But extended team fighting with a much delayed E evolve and no crit calculation when the Infinity Edge and Rage Blade comes in, extended team fights not going to be the playground of Deft till much later because he chose this build.
See if he can put on the big-time carry. We saw how mad he looked after game number 1, and no doubt he'll be looking for revenge here this time around. Up against Aiming, who very confidently, again, kind of in his face, said, yes, I am going to take the Ezreal. I am the Ezreal master, not you, Deft.
And he trolled me. He went man immune anyway.
Yeah.
This Deft, this Alpaca, he's too crafty for me, Valdez. I'm watching him. I'm ready to call him out.
The guy's got a lot of build up his sleeve.
I know he does, but damn it, you cannot beat Cuzz. Damn it, I'm watching you.
Well, we got a pretty dead Xin Zhao here as they found him in the jungle, and a couple of button presses later from the Gragas Yasuo. And that's exactly what you're going to get.
And every good moment from this game has kind of been the same for Kingzone, being ahead of Dread, expecting his pathing, and being there to profit. It's another example of that, Valdez. As this Xin Zhao is falling comically behind. Afreeca walk up, they want to contest the Rift Herald.
Oh boy, but the Tom Kent gets in there way early. Does have that stopwatch though. It's gonna go the way of it. Looks like Kingzone, big knockup now from Naehyun to get a couple, but that's a big Renekton boy into the back line. But here comes Deft trying to do his best, but Kiin is doing so much, but he will be going down eventually there. As Kingzone's TusiN all alone here trying to get away, but he is surrounded. A quadra kill for Ucal in the end.
A quadra kill out of nowhere is insane for the side of Afreeca. Ucal managed the rarely seen quadra kill with fail flash play, but pulls it off impressively. They're going to get this turret in the top side. They might even get all the plates. Should be able to farm this one out. An insane gold transfer to a game that was in Kingzone's control seconds ago.
All the plates going Aiming. He doesn't even need to look at the turret on his way out of there. Let's take another look at how this all started.
And this has been how they've gotten so many of their leads, just catching Dread, whether it was the counter gang top lane or this play. Remember that the Q coming through from Pyke is a Yasuo starter. Renekton sitting on 1100 gold, but so is Camille. Kingzone try to just control the pit, but they don't use Deft to teleport early. He's not already at this play. And that means that Senan walks up, but Ucal commits, and Ucal has such an eventful fight. Front lining as Corki at this point gets 2 kills, realizes the exit kills are there, and watch for the fail flash. Beautiful, delightful, but still, the rarely seen quadra kill with fail flash, and I feel like Kingzone tried to do too many things. I wanted to see Deft join early.
It was really fantastic poise in the fight. As you mentioned, a very eventful one. You know, say what you will about the fail flash, you guys can all about that one, but the ability to jump straight into the fight against all of the damage from Kingzone, and then Valkyrie the correct way just to be fighting front to back and have your front line there is exactly what you want. Is now another combo in the mid lane, and this time not going to look so good for Ucal. Dread here trying to start this fight now and get another one, as Naehyun does a nice amount of damage, but not able to fight entirely behind that wind wall. Will be able to survive, will actually go down on the back of that fight.
Just feels like Kingzone need to Afreeca Freecs, I should say, sorry, need to find a way to control the entrances around their lanes a bit more carefully because KingsZone are finding these combos that they need. Mid lane.
Well, Kiin, have you gone too far? They do have a Tom Kent. The gray health going to be enough this time around as we're diving once again. Down will go Dread. Kiin going to find a bunch more health to go in again. He's able to frontline for aiming, who will be able to pick up that kill. TusiN desperately would love those health bars to be lower, but not quite, as Afreeca get even more.
This game is breaking down, Valdez. Feels like we're breaking the fourth wall if there's going to be a scripted drama, and you don't even have the script in front of you right now. So I feel like we've gone entirely off script in Afreeca versus KingsZone. Another play where Afreeca Freecs could have pulled the defense a little bit earlier and not actually gone for the further brawl. They do decently in it. The only cost is a Mountain Drake, which from behind doesn't necessarily mean too much, but in this scenario where we're pretty even, so often this game has been Cuzz ahead of the play. He's getting face checked by people left, right, and center. Ucal's life entirely void, and remember, that's 750 gold pocketed by Cuzz with the shutdown onto the quadra kill for.
Yeah, would have liked it a little bit better onto the Naehyun, but doesn't end up mattering as
Deft again, chilling in the bot lane, unable to get into these plays. His team is doing a lot of things, but it's been a bit behind. As, know all about this.
The awkward Shelly.
Yep.
Aw. Poor Shelly, she didn't ask for this.
KR Shelly.
Yeah, well. That's going to be a bit of a head scratcher, as she is going to be doing absolutely nothing except maybe buy a little bit of time to not have the wave crash. That's just about it. Trying to find some positivity in that play.
I mean, her entire life was void, really. Nothing happened.
She fought valiantly
she didn't.
in the battle of the Rift Heralds.
No, she's the one, you know when, like, the officer in the war, like, dies in some sort of mistake or during training and they send the letter home being like, he died valiantly?
Yeah.
That's what happened to that Shelly. We're re-editing history there because she did not have a meaningful life.
Well, before she was taken down up in the top side, I'd like to imagine that she fought against KingsZone valiantly. But either way, now Kiin trying to go 1v2. We got the TP coming in. One more swipe would have done it, but not quite. We got an interrupt too in the mid lane as Cuzz able to start this one. Exhaust now onto the Yasuo as Afreeca thinking about it. He gets the knock up now onto the Shinto, but he's able to turn it around and get that kill. But now Ucal's here, trying to go and frontline on this Corki. He's got 1.5 items, and they do so much poke damage.
Oh!
Ooh, Deft with a big snipe on the backside. Gotta hand it to him, making the most of an awkward situation as TusiN also went down.
And on the outside looking in so often this game is Deft that he finally finds an involvement on this group mid lane fight. He swooped to top side, he was staying there, but every time he's farming, 9 other people are fighting. And in this particular case, 18 kills in 18 minutes, 2,500 plus gold lead. Things still pretty close between Afreeca and KingsZone.
Gotta admire Deft. 2-1-2. He hasn't been too much in this game, but take a look at how this fight even started in the first place.
This is what the Q Evolved Kai'Sa build is for. Backing up a side laner with hard crowd control and swooping in for kills. Not possible previously because Deft hasn't been around. We missed this though. Here's the extra context that looking for a counter TP play, Senan and aiming court, and that's why we got the super hard engage on both sides.
You can see that aiming was trying to be cute with the True Shot Barrage into immediate TP, but he did that right in front of a pipe. So, you don't want to do that again. That's what you would like. It's actually somehow TusiN died there. We got the slowdown on the big one, but it looks like it hit Naehyun before the explosion onto TusiN. Kind of a funky one there.
Sometimes the interactions are a bit wonky, so we'll try to understand those where possible. Ucal in between multiple items. He had the Phage there, he's got the BF sword, but the Infinity Edge timing isn't coming, so Zeal for now, for a little bit more power as we speak. Naehyun has gone the more defensive build. Gonna go towards Asterix' second item here to be a bit more of a frontliner. So let's see if KingsZone can play to their items. Remember, we're still looking for them to largely be around picks, whether Deft or Gragas and Yasuo are comboing, rather than extended team fights they haven't necessarily built towards.
I feel feel like Kiin in this game, even though he's 0-3, he's picked up a lot of assists and he's been very effective in the team fights. The Renekton, very well played by him so far. The Shojin's first. Feeling pretty good as a build from him.
And the what if of 914 Renekton and Steric Shield, which we haven't gotten to see yet, Valdez. It's about to come in.
Yeah.
If you blow up that Steric Shield, if you delete it with the new Renekton W, that's insane swing in a team fight.
Ucal's already doing ridiculous damage. Went for the BF into Zeal after the Trinity Force. Had a lot of gold, understandably, early on in this game, so was able to pick up that BF early.
You know who doesn't have a lot of gold? The newly rebuffed Pyke, who gets that extra 300 gold to himself, 600 gold for kills if you get the reset. No kills so far for TusiN. He doesn't have any actual ability to use that death from below to get a completion, and in those scenarios, the AoE damage has been heavily nerfed. You have to actually be securing with the true damage to get the new value loaded onto Pyke's kit.
Yeah, TusiN having a bit of a fun game on the Pyke so far, but still waiting for that pop-off moment in a big team fight or something like that, as so far just kind of assisting the Yasuo Gragas in some of the fights we've had in this game.
Where will the next fight happen, though? Because the last few have all been Cuzz driven. Yes, almost 100% kill participation, 4, 2, and 4 on the Gragas. From Kingzone's side, they would probably prefer to make this game about a Baron turn. They have a pretty short range comp. They only have one range damage dealer, and Kai'Sa's not great at sieging, so they're much more about 1-3-1s into kind of Baron defenses rather than any semblance of siege. They want Afreeca do have strong siege in their 2, and Tom Kench can back that up. But they are looking for a 4-1 here, with Kiin being strong. However, coming back to your point, how strong is he in the 1v1 is something to be reevaluated given his score. We haven't seen Renekton vs Camille go 1v1 in a little bit of time.
It has been quite a moment. We really accelerated fast with 18 kills in 18 minutes. How about another kind of gank brush here as, okay, gonna land that max range, but he's got the package here. Looking to turn it around now as Gragas in a bit of trouble. You notice Kiin also frontlining, able to zone him out here and try to keep them on the leash in this fight. Is just going to be devoured. And the 1 kill will actually go to Afreeca.
Really important timing by Dread. Hit a home run on the members coming in to try to pick up the kill, and that was enough to displace and allow Afreeca to fight front to back. They're on to the Baron now, and Kingzone Dragon X, their Wombo, is on cooldown.
That it is. They still will have Rascal with that stopwatch. He's going in now, trying to engage onto aiming. Keeps him in the pit here now. As okay, trying to get that first kill, will find the jungler. As this fight going crazy now, as Corki's still alive for so long. But Kingzone is going to be able to hold on and clean up around the Baron.
Turn there was a little bit late. Afreeca knew that there was going to be a lot of damage coming in from Kingzone. Ends up bloody, but the Baron crisis is over. Cuzz was dead, so all the threat was from Afreeca. Here's the replay, and wait for the home run from Dread. That was the highlight for me. Knocking him away, but then so much of a reset in the team fight was the Xin Zhao ult here. Suddenly, it wasn't just members chasing for that last bit of damage onto the Corki. They got to refocus. Getting the Gragas first gave them the Baron setup for Afreeca Freecs.
We had the follow-up here. You'll notice that Rascal's main objective is, of course, the Ezreal. Nice devour, actually, by Senan to help out with that.
But Afreeca, connecting to their woes and playing the map from time to time, they stay on the Baron too long when Kiin is almost dead. When they're pretty squishy lineup, all things considered, 5v4 is not enough. There's too much damage left on the side of Afreeca, and that overstay means, once again, we're at completely a watershed moment in terms of kills. It's 12-12, still almost a kill a minute between Afreeca and Kingzone.
Very high action game. Lots of fun here in this one. As, we had that small little moment. I was doubting myself for just a second there, but we were able to get right back into the action thanks to Kingzone really trying to start things up. TusiN Bit of an awkward spot, but he is the Pyke.
He's found it so hard to get involved in this game, Valdez.
Yeah.
Pyke has not been able to do too much. I saw one on the LEC broadcast last night, but that was against Akali, where Akali kind of laughs at anytime Pyke comes in. She just R1s, and then any of her other abilities basically kill Pyke at full health. In this sort of a game, Cuzz has been ahead of every play, but TusiN's been unable to combo into some of those plays, and that's been frustrating from KingZone's side. If he had gotten involved, this gold lead would have been kind of nil at this point, but almost the same damage to Tahm Kench so far for a Pyke is not what you like to see.
Kiin, actually, who's baiting who is the real question. We're going for the rotation. Kiin with the stopwatch, and it's KingZone who are baited here. Two of them gonna be swept up and shut down as Kiin with the perfect debate their 1v2.
Kind of insane that KingZone have much more of the combo draft are the ones getting caught. They get first access, their 5 members walk down, KingZone out of position to respond. And Yasuo is still wave clearing in mid, so the synergy that was so effortless for KingZone earlier in the season seems just entirely gone again. Was Rift Rivals in the week after a blip and normalcy returning. KingZone weren't too hot before Rift Rivals, and now a couple of weeks removed. Back to struggling as Afreeca really want this Baron.
Afreeca to say, yeah, you have vision, so what? We're just going to go for this Baron here. We've got a mountain, and they're just going to try to zone out Cuzz here. Killing him would be best, but nice stopwatch again as the TP's coming in, but Naehyun will be the trade here for that Ezreal. Rascal gonna join it up. Deft still alive here, shutting down 2, and KingZone should actually be able to turn this one around. Ucal trying to go 1v2 is not going to be able to do it. I say 1v2, it was actually 1v4. Not going to be able to actually clean up in the end.
And that was Afreeca's Baron, but they're so stubborn around it. They tank it for so long, no clear call. I'll finish the Baron or turn off the Baron. Now we're going to have the Monka S Baron attempt. It should be fine.
And they're going to get it. A huge cheer from the crowd in the end as they do secure that objective. KingZone able to turn this one right around.
Turns out that with 700 health spread across 3 people, Baron still achievable when Kai'Sa, one of the strongest Baron takers of anyone, is involved. The plays are multi-layered, so it starts with Afreeca just 1v1ing, but watch the difference in the rotation here. Yasuo's going topside as the play starts, and even though KingZone have the first person there, the entire cavalry is arriving, whether by hook or by crook, given that they have both of the Tahm Kench ultimate and the river advantage. But the Baron, for the second time, is frozen on 5,000 with no clear turn. What's Senan, Ucal, and Dread doing? A whole lot of not much over the wall. By the time they commit, they haven't got the Baron low. They've given up their health bar to make this happen. In the second outnumbered fight, KingZone Dragon X turn up and out-trade Afreeca.
Love the frontlining from low health Cuzz, just the presence of mind to know in the fight that I've got enough health even though I'm low, just to make sure that Deft can do the damage behind me. Great team fight there from KingZone, pulling Afreeca into kind of an awkward one for them, as now we're pretty even when it comes down to the gold in this one.
And if you ever see a scenario where Kiin can't 1v1 Rascal, which in enough items usually tips in the Camille versus Renekton matchup, do notice that Afreeca have, KingZone Dragon X I should say, have many different engage opportunities onto an ultra squishy lineup. Afreeca have a GA, they've got a Tahm Kench Devourer, but otherwise their squishiness can definitely be engaged on by KingZone in any 4-1 attempt.
Trying to zone around the mid lane, posture, get some good vision down here. You'll notice that Rascal able to just rotate down into the bottom side. That one should be a free turret. Nobody going to try to group up down there and stop him from getting in. With the Baron, of course, KingZone, nice little power play for them, but overall, Afreeca still extremely fed Corki with an Ezreal as a little buddy behind him. See if they can try to carry this one in this game, as it's pretty competitive here as the game goes along.
I think if you review the tape and go back to why Afreeca was so desperate for Baron, I think it's the fact that if you look at a strong engage comp like KingZone and a team like Afreeca, who, to be putting it plainly, are not very good at closing out games by playing the map smartly in 3 lanes. That's not the kind of team they are, as TusiN is in the Hillesang spot, looking for a flank. Hold the more general point, because we can definitely see a dive here, as KingZone just desperately want this easy turret. You just don't give Afreeca respect to walk in the red side jungle, put down some nice wards, and have 11 kill Corki take turrets for free without somebody else getting engaged on. That's just not Afreeca. So they're trying to brute force it with a Baron, and then Baron plus Siege Comp equals headache for the side of KingZone. So because of Afreeca's shortcomings, they're forced to play this ARAM game, and KingZone are ready for it.
We're just stealthing in. Big time cast from Cuzz. They're going to be able to dunk down onto 2 after that play. As able to open up a bit more here on that Baron. As the hook this time not going to be landing here, Kiin. Thinking about frontlining now. They have an immense amount of poke, and you can see with the Dominus, they will be able to pick off 1. Now Deft in the front here, looking for that stun. As he will be locked down, but the QSS will be good to keep him alive. But look at them, they're not done yet. The wind wall is going to be fantastic, though, when Ucal goes down. And it will be all up to aiming, but he gets knocked up here. As unfortunately, this time around, they went a bridge too far.
Stubborn mechanical players flashing into melee range on ranged AD carries to try to force in a moment where they think the enemy is weak. Like you say, the wind wall. So important there. And KingZone Dragon X, what are they going to be able to get off this? Minion waves are still kind of far away. Baron buff has faded out. They can't end the game off a play like that. But it feels like it might be a momentum ender for Afreeca Freecs.
Definitely a pretty rough spot for them now, as that's a play that will really take the wind out of your sails.
We talked about how Afreeca, just knowing their kind of strengths and weaknesses, are just saying, let's just play it straight down lane. But what does a Xin Zhao do in a scenario like this? He can really only die. You contribute nothing in a mid lane only play. You re-roll that Xin Zhao in ARAM. But as the play goes on, when they get the first kill, you see Ucal ping level 16. It's GA on Ezreal, and that's why they say, wait, we can kill all these people. Let's just flash aggressively in. But watch how KingZone respond to this. Like, it's very bold to get this level of aggression. But first, the wind wall, and the bottom side, the stun from the E from Pyke means that there's just no damage out of the really fed double AD carries. They can wait, they can pose, then they take down both Aiming and Ucal.
Elder Drake will be spawning here after the Cloud was taken down by KingZone. And yeah, you would imagine that if they'd just taken that a little bit slower, that Afreeca should have eventually been able to catch up to them. You know, some Valkyries, some Arcane ships forward, and not getting that close. I think they even could have picked off a couple more, so the idea was right, just the execution was off. That is going to be unfortunate for them, as now KingZone in a pretty demanding spot as another good one here onto Ucal. The cast will go and hit 3 members in the front line, but KingZone a little bit slow on the engage. Another fantastic one there from Cuzz. Nobody really there to back up Kiin, as TusiN going in looking for more on the pick. Gonna be sniped by Deft before that can even happen, as KingZone will be looking for as many as possible on the backside. They really want to push on to win this one afterwards, but Ucal trying to get flanked here, as will by TusiN get into the back line and be shut down.
Afreeca Freecs, they're just desperate. They've lost all semblance, all rhyme, all rhythm, and they've lost this game number 2. It will be a KingZone victory either imminently or with a Baron reset. Looking at these death timers, I'm more inclined to think that we're all done for game number 2.
You would imagine so, as it is pretty long in the game here. Not just the Thomas Kent will be able to stop this one, and KingZone will be able to bring this one into a 3-game series as well. See you later, Thomas. You were loved, as this Nexus will go down. GG. We're all tied up at 1.
That's right. We're going to a game number 3. Afreeca Freecs, they are what they are. They are creatures of habits. Only fight was their thought. Only Baron was their mid-game call. And that means that we are put into the game 3 streak extending for KingZone Dragon X. I might have to ask the writers and all the other stats people around what the longest streak of 3-game series is by any team, because we are hitting number 5 for KingZone Dragon X. So you can't be a really good team or a really bad team to always be going to 3. You need to have flashes of both. So 5 in a row when it comes to full 3-game series. Kingzone Dragon X were the better of the two teams, but Afreeca, they had a good start, they had some moments, but they just really lacked that last little bit of tactical nous in order to close it out. Definitely the sort of game where the League of Legends, could we please have an in-game leader on comms would be big. If NoFake could just get in their brains during the game, Afreeca Freecs would certainly be a better team.
Just one guy, you know. Kiin is a guy who has been around for a bit, but again, he's not the biggest leader overall. He's not the guy who's going to be screaming in the chat. That's more of a Ucal kind of thing. And we all know what Ucal wants to do. He wants to Valkyrie and then flash into the enemy team and try to get a quadra kill. Works sometimes, other times it's game number 2. So, you know, that happens. It's part of the reason why they are inconsistent, as still all serious mode there in the Kingzone booth.
34 minutes, 39, but by the end it felt almost like gleeful release for Afreeca to try to get a makeover for a game number 3. They kind of seriously thought there was a way they were going to win that last fight, but they were all rolling up. Kiin popped dominance for a half second to die instantly. To 1Q from Yasuo. 27k damage. Deft was a passenger for a lot of this game, but when things started to turn, he got involved, and his involvement reminded us of what these team fights and picks were possible on the side of Kingzone Dragon X. And I hope Kingzone rolls back the KISS strategy. Keep it simple, silly. Go back for the team fights. Don't try to play the 3 lanes. Keep it simple.
Yeah, you got to hand it to them for doing it kind of there in game number 2. We'll see what happens in game 3 after this break.